The NBA Gambling Podcast on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by Shady Rays. Go to shadyrays.com and use promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. We're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast tailor-made Stealth 2 driver giveaway. Head over to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver to enter today before the big drawing on April 8th. And we're also brought to you by Baseball Money is Fake, our fantasy baseball podcast. Join Blake and Ryan 3 times a week and get all the player breakdowns and statistical data you need to dominate. Welcome, everyone, to the NBA Gambling Podcast, part of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. It is Saturday, April 8th, currently 11:03 on the East Coast. For God's reason, we are here to discuss the NBA. I don't know why, but we're still going to talk about it. But joining me, as usual, on the Saturday episodes, you guys know him as the voice of the Tennis Gambling Podcast, the NFL Gambling Podcast, the soon-to-season start WNBA Gambling Podcast. It's Scott, Studio Reichel. Scott, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much. I'd say I'm looking forward to the card, but who is? But nice to be back here. Should be a fun day in sports, whether it involves baseball or hockey or UFC. But yeah, there's also basketball on if you're somewhat interested. But I mentioned other sports that I'm interested in more today. Should still be fun though. Yeah, nothing really more to add. How's it going with you?
It's okay. I think we'll get into the ranting here in a minute, but pretty useless week, we should say, at least in the NBA. But also joining us here on Saturday, it's Delonte Smith. Delonte, what's going on, brother?
Yeah, man, echo some of the same things that Scott said. Just ready for the playoffs. That's all.
Yeah, I mean, I tweeted this out and I said this throughout the week to a couple of my buddies. And I mentioned this to you guys as well. This is probably the most useless week in the NBA as far as I don't even know where to start. But last night, I think we're really going to talk about what happened in Dallas yesterday with their injury report. So about an hour or so, maybe 2 hours before the game, the Dallas Mavericks, who still had an outside chance to make it into the play-in tournament bracket as that 10th seed, decide that they are going to sit their prize trade deadline acquisition in Kyrie Irving and also Josh Green and their prized offseason. I don't know if it was a trade or signing. Oh, it was a trade with the Rockets and Christian Wood and also Josh Green. And at that point, you're probably thinking, okay, maybe Luka's going to end up sitting too. But we get news, hey, Luka's available to play. He's going to play. And then I mentioned to Scott and Terrell that it's some type of Slovenia night in Dallas at American Line Center. And then a note comes across. Oh, I mentioned that. I was like, yeah, I'm going to bet Luka up to 50.
Yeah, I seen that.
50 points.
Because well, also, yeah, I was going to say the backstory there, besides it being a Slovenia night, he had a shot in theory of passing Embiid for the scoring title.
Yeah. So that's the main reason I laddered it up. And about 15, 20 minutes before the game, we get news that, hey, Luka's only going to be playing for one quarter. And that is about it. So I think everybody at that point was trying to scramble and search if Luka props were still available to get on the unders, whether it's points, rebounds, whatever the case might have been. Kind of a Draymond situation we had earlier this season. But Scott, I'm going to pass this over to you. What the hell is Dallas thinking? I don't know. What do you think Dallas is thinking?
So I do want to briefly talk about the game for a second, because for a second it looked like the plan was going to backfire. Dallas actually led by double digits at the half. And then I'm sure the entire team got a stern talking to by Mark Cuban at halftime, saying, what are you guys doing? You guys are supposed to lose. And the Mavericks immediately punted the game in the second half. There was a stat going around about the Mavericks' final possession, which I'm trying to remember what the exact stat was. It wasn't good. I think they were the first team ever to have 3 shots in the final 15 seconds of a 3-point game and not hit the rim on a single shot. Backboard. I think that was the stat going. Okay, so I found it. So it was posted 10 hours ago by ESPN Stats and Info. The Mavericks got blocked on a 3-pointer, airballed the three-pointer and hit the backboard on a three-pointer at the end of the loss to the Bulls. They're the first team over the last 10 seasons to fail to hit the rim on 3 3-point attempts in the final 15 seconds of a game. Now, if that's not tanking, I don't know what is. But the point is, the Mavericks blew the game in the end. And the funniest part of that situation was the camera. Give the camera a raise, who immediately panned over to Mark Cuban after they missed the three-pointer on the previous possession. And Cuban is smiling ear to ear while sitting courtside while his team just bricked a shot to tie the game. The whole thing was a mess, but at the end of the day, I guess the argument was Dallas wants a top 10 pick, and they want to delay giving a pick over the Knicks. So as a result, they're hoping they get a top 10 because it is top 10 protected. But yeah, it's a circus, and I still remember when Adam Silver talked about finding teams or punishing teams for tanking. I think it was aimed at the Thunder a couple months ago, and then Shea immediately sat the next game, and I'm like, oh, this is just not going to go well for the league, and now nobody cares. But I can't say that I'm surprised that teams around the league are tanking at this point. However, tanking while you're currently in a position to hypothetically make the play-in is so just non-competitive. It's offensive to the actual nature of the sport. They should get fined millions of dollars for this. We've seen owners get fined before. We've seen some precedents being set for maybe a week based on in hindsight, but we've seen owners get punished before. You got to send a message here, because if you added the play-in, I know it's for TV revenue, but still, if you added in the play-in to decentivize tanking and encourage more teams to try, and teams are still going to actively tank because they don't care about the play-in, you got to set an example out of somebody. And as far as I know, Mark Cuban can afford it.
Yeah, that's true.
He definitely can.
Delonte, what are your thoughts, man?
Man, honestly, I don't think this. I mean, this is a good draft. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, what 10th pick is going to change the trajectory of your franchise? Like, it's not a player that you're going to get past maybe 3 that's going to change anything that you do. You already got, so far we know that you have Luka and Kyrie, but I mean, we always know that Kyrie's probably going to be gone to LA. That's what I think everybody's speculating, but and Luka will probably want out at some point. That's what I'm guessing.
Dallas has indirectly stated publicly, or at least Kyrie has said that he joined the Mavericks to consider signing long term.
He said that.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah,
let's put it that way. So we'll see what happens with Kyrie during the offseason. But yeah, I'll let you finish your point.
Yeah, I mean, I really didn't have much else to add. I think you guys pretty much hit everything. I knew something was wrong when they were playing Justin Holiday at center. As soon as if you see that lineup that they closed with, Justin Holiday was playing at center. So, I mean, that should tell you all you need to know. But yeah, I mean, I don't know if it's anything that Silver can do, to be honest. I mean, he added that the play-in, I think, is a good part of keeping teams competitive outside of the the lower tier teams like the Hornets, the Rockets, the Spurs. But at least
the Rockets.
The Rockets were. Hey, my bad. They were competitive. They blew that cover. I had them last night. They blew it.
And they blew the cover to a team that was benching about its best 5-6 players. So.
Right.
Hey, 21 rebounds last night for Şengün. Put some respect on it.
Yeah, that's right. Baby Jokic. Yeah. Yeah, but man, I don't know if it's anything you could do to fix it, to be honest. I mean, the play-in is, I think it's good for, I mean, obviously, like Scott said, it is for TV, but it does keep the competitiveness up for the teams that actually want. I mean, this is pretty much like unheard of a team actually having a chance. I think they had a decent shot. I mean, OKC has who left?
They have Memphis, but Memphis clinched the 2 yesterday, so Memphis is going to bench everybody anyway.
Yeah, but I mean, theoretically, I guess it's probably the right thing to do, but I mean, again, you're just taking the competitiveness out of the game. And Luka's on record by saying he didn't want to be shut down. He didn't want to not play. So that kind of just goes back to the ownership of that franchise.
Pretty much right now, it's going to be Minnesota and OKC playing in that 9 and 10 spot in the play-in tournament. Yeah, I mean, yeah, pretty much, because
in theory, Minnesota could jump somebody, but I doubt it.
Well, 2 games. Yeah, so they still have 2 games.
They have the
left.
head-to-head against the Lakers, so they
So if the Lakers lose one, if the Lakers lose one and they win the next 2, then they're 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Because right now we have.
But the Lakers play Utah, so I don't even know if that's worth
Hey man,
discussing.
you never know with Utah, man.
You never know, but they're benching even more people tonight. We'll talk about that later. But
so as of today, if the playoffs started, we would have Denver, Memphis, Kings, and Suns. We know are the top 4. And then Golden State would be 5. It would be a first-round matchup between Phoenix and the Warriors, and then Sacramento and the Clippers. And then the play-in tournament as of today would be Lakers hosting the Pelicans, and then Timberwolves hosting the Oklahoma City Thunder. But I think we'll obviously have our answer by Sunday afternoon on what the play-in tournament matchups are going to be. I thought that was really the biggest story of the night last night. Golden State took care of business against the Sacramento Kings in the second half. They're currently sitting, like I mentioned, in the 5th spot. And then also the LA Lakers pulled away in the second half as well against the Phoenix Suns. They get the victory 121-107 against Phoenix. Anything else you guys want to mention from last night? Scott, anything else?
Well, you mentioned the Kings-Warriors game. So I got to tell you a brief gambling story because there's only 3 games on the card. Yesterday, Terrell and I realized about halfway or so through the pod, maybe a little bit more, that Harrison Barnes had played in every game of the NBA season. And we thought that since the Kings were benching basically every starter, that was before Keegan Murray was ruled active. We thought that he was also not going to play at the time, to be fair. We thought that Barnes would play, maybe give somebody a bear hug in the first 5 minutes, and then leave and not play again. So, yeah, I ended up same game parlaying Barnes' under in points and rebounds. And he not only played, he played minutes in every quarter. He played for about 2 minutes in the fourth quarter, and he hit a layup on an offensive rebound in the fourth quarter to finish with 13 points. I had him under 11.5 points, parlayed with 3.5 rebounds. And I think that 2-pick paid out at like plus 170, plus 175. I didn't go fully crazy with it because once Murray was ruled active, I thought maybe there was a chance the Kings would use the starters a bit more. But still, they used Harrison Barnes for 29 minutes in a meaningless game while they virtually trailed by double digits for the entire second half. And I lost my same game parlay there. So, yeah, I don't know what Coach Brown was thinking in that situation. I don't know why Barnes really had to play much at all. I was shocked he played at all in the fourth quarter. I was not expecting him to check in at the 10:40 mark in the fourth quarter when they're down 15 or 17. But anyway, point is, yeah, Coach Brown kind of screwed me last night. It is what it is. But, yeah, the Harrison Barnes legacy game didn't work. They might just be saving it for game 82. But I was hoping for a premature game 81, maybe a halftime polling. Didn't get it.
That hurts. And they are listening to the pod, so maybe that's why.
29 minutes though. Like you figure, all right, he'll play a quarter maybe.
A vet guy too. He's a vet.
A vet guy, yeah. Didn't make any sense.
Yeah. Oh, it was a revenge game for him going up against his former team. Scott, did you not realize that against the Warriors?
Yeah, I remember that while they were benching Fox and Sabonis and every other player that's worth a damn.
Delonte, anything else from last night?
Man, I'm gonna be completely honest. I went straight to bed. Didn't even care about what was going on. I seen the Lakers were down like in the first quarter. I went right.
They trailed at half by 1.
Yeah, I didn't even dominated. They looked so bad, like starting off. Like I just was like, look, I'm not about to do this to myself. So I just went to bed, man.
All right, guys. Before we get into the 3-game schedule here for tonight, let me tell everyone about Shady Rays. Kick off the new year with new gear built to last. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered from the sun to the slopes with premium polarized shades, customizable snow goggles, and much more. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair that we've worn. Durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses is backed by the lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us they will send you a brand new pair, no questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. With Shady Rays, you can look good and feel good. Today, they have donated over 20 million meals to fight hunger with Feeding America. And if you don't love them, exchange them for a new pair or return them for free within the 30-day window period. There's no risk when you shop with Shady Rays. Their team always has your back. So exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal of the new year. Go to shadyrays.com and use promo code SGPN for 50% off of 2 or more pairs of polarized sunglasses. Try for yourself the shades rated 5 stars by over 200,000 people. All right, guys, let's get into the 3-game schedule here for tonight with the first game on the board. That's going to be the Denver Nuggets. They are visiting the Utah Jazz, where the line currently sits at -6. Total is at 225.5. Looking at the injury report, questionable tags for pretty much the entire starting lineup. Don't anticipate anybody playing here tonight either. Michael Porter Jr., Jamal Murray, Nikola Jokic, Aaron Gordon, KCP, all questionable. Bruce Brown is probable. Reggie Jackson also probable. For the Utah Jazz, everybody is sitting out. Clarkson, Rudy Gay, THT, Walker Kessler, Lauri Markkanen, Kelly Olynyk, and Colin Sexton. So just to put this in context, this projected starting lineup for the Utah Jazz here tonight is going to be Chris Dunn, Ochai Agbaji,
Fontecchio Cook.
Fontiacino, Semeniak, I'm not even probably butchering that, and Azubuike for the Utah Jazz. All right, who wants to start this one? Delonte, you want to lead us off here? 6 points
man,
for the Denver Nuggets against the Jazz.
Look, man, it's really hard to just handicap this stuff. I mean, the Jazz, at least they're playing hard. They just didn't. They played hard in the last game. Who they playing in the last game? I can't remember. The Lakers, not the Lakers. They beat the. I mean, they took the Lakers.
It was a game after that.
They played against the Thunder and they got killed in the free throw disparity.
Right. That, and they couldn't hit any open shots. But like at least they're competing. You can like literally see that they're competing and playing hard. They're not giving up. So I mean, I want that in a team that's an underdog, especially at home. I mean, the Nuggets, they're playing, I guess, some decent guys, but
are they?
Bruce Brown
and like Bones and Reggie Jackson, right? Is he still?
I'm just saying the entire starting lineup is a game time decision for this game for Denver. The entire starting lineup.
Yeah. So, I mean, give me the Jazz. I honestly just like that they're playing extremely hard and still competing, and those younger guys are getting some. I wouldn't say valuable, but they're getting, some minutes, quote unquote, and I think they're going to carry that into next season. So I like the Jazz. I'll bet them just to win the game. Like Scott said, I mean, the Nuggets, they don't have many bodies. What are they playing, like 6-7 guys? So give me the Jazz.
Scott.
For me, I'm going to lean to the Jazz as well. This is one of the worst rosters I've seen all year with them benching this many guys. But the fact that Denver is benching everybody, both teams don't care. And it's simply put, if both teams don't care, I'm taking the points. Because why would I want to lay points with a team that clearly isn't focused on this game either? Utah's at home. They've been great at home all year. They've thrived in the underdog role. And I feel like, Terrell kind of made his point the last time we talked about the Jazz, which is, honestly, if they lose like basically every game for the rest of the season and don't cover, we're up so many units backing them to cover that it doesn't even matter. I'll sacrifice some profit because they've been that good. So maybe some of it is just being a loyal gambling friend and willing to go down with the ship over the final couple games with this team because they've been so good for so long at covering. But I think for this matchup, I'm going to lean Jazz money line. The roster's bad. I'm aware of that. But Denver's they're going to bench everybody. Why wouldn't they? Mm-hmm. And if both teams don't care, I'm going to take the points. Because why would I lay points with a road team that clearly has bigger fish on the horizon? They don't care about Utah. Utah might want to, use the crowd and try to send them home happy. I'll lean to Utah to find a way to keep this game close.
Yeah, I mean, Denver really no reason to play anyone here. And I think we can pretty much say that nobody is going to play for Denver. We're probably looking at Reggie Jackson, Bones, Highland, Bruce Brown, DeAndre Jordan type of starting lineup here. I think you guys are right. I mean, when in doubt, just take the points with these players on Utah. They're gonna put in the effort because they're still playing for a roster spot next year. So the
Somewhere.
yeah, somewhere, whether if it's with Utah or with another team, right? So
Or in a different country.
yeah, or maybe in a different country. So again, I think that's going to be the edge, I guess, or maybe the handicap here for Utah. Just take the points. This number will inflate probably a little more when everybody does get ruled out for the Denver Nuggets. So I think maybe you'll get some more points with Utah. But yeah, Utah Jazz is the side here. Anything on the total here, Delonte, 225?
Yeah, I mean, I think we got to look at overs, and I didn't look at the overs for yesterday. Let me see if I can look that up real quick. But I think later in the season, overs are more prone to hit simply because, I mean, it's not a lot of defense being played. It's just more of an up and down type of game. The refs kind of swallow the whistle a lot, unless it's pretty like flagrant or absurd, then they'll call it. But I think otherwise, they're just letting it flow, letting the game flow. And I mean, these guys are professionals; they're going to hit some shots. So I like the over on 225.
Based on the rosters, you'd lean under. Except we've seen in a lot of these G League contests, they try even less at defense, and you see a bunch of points. I'll lean over, I guess, because Utah's still going to want to run. I'm not sure if Denver is going to want to run as well, because you got DeAndre Jordan playing minutes. So it's going to be a bit tricky, but I'm going to lean over. Utah is so bad defensively that I'm just hoping that you see a track meet breakout. Once again, I'm barely going to consider betting on any of these games that we're talking about.
Yep.
But my favorite play has to be Utah plus the points based on principle and based on just a conceptual understanding of taking points, multiple possessions in a game where both teams don't care.
Yeah, and I don't know why I said Bones Highland because he's with the Clippers now. So correction on that. Yeah, I mean, it would be probably over or pass for me as well. I think defense is definitely going to be questionable, probably for the rest of the weekend here. As we wrap up the NBA season, don't see many very player props. Did you guys, either of you, have any player props that you were targeting in this game?
I got to take something with Chris Dunn because he's one of the only players that are recognized on Utah's roster. No, but actually, he's going to be the starting point guard. They really don't have many guys left when you think about who they're using. Agbaji's going to get a bunch of shot attempts. He was horrible last game. I think he went like 6 for 18, maybe 0 for 8 from 3. He couldn't have shot to save his life last game. But if you want to go for volume, Agbaji's probably worth something. Chris Dunn has actually been good for Utah. I think Utah's going to keep him. I know I was joking before about which country some of these guys are going to play in. I think Chris Dunn kind of earned a roster spot for the next year or so because I thought he actually looked really good when he was playing in the last month or so. I think Dunn's got value either for points, maybe steals, a bit of an underrated defender. If you want to make a case for assists, you can do that too. I think I'm going to have to look at the main guys that I recognize on this team for Utah, and I'm going to have to look at Dunn and Agbaji. I was trying to think of who to take for rebound purposes because as a Buki, I've watched him play a couple times in the NBA, and he was an absolute monster at Kansas, but his size hasn't really translated to the NBA. In fact, he lost a bunch of weight because he has to run the floor. I'm not sure if I'm sold on any big men for Utah. I think I'm just going to stick with those guys. Maybe Fontecchio threes. But besides that, am I tempted by a flyer Bruce Brown triple-double play? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see if he plays many minutes. But are any of you tempted by a Bruce Brown Cinderella triple-double matchup there? Would he play a bunch of minutes? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. But I'm surprised, Scott, you're not going with your Wisconsin grad, Michael Potter. Is over in points. He's on his Jazz team.
He was one of those guys who was at Wisconsin for a year or two who left such a lasting impact at Wisconsin that I forgot he even went to the school. I know he transferred from Ohio State, and there was some controversy surrounding that because he had to wait in order to actually play for Wisconsin. Yeah, he can shoot a little bit from the outside. So just imagine a significantly, and I mean significantly worse version of Kaminsky. That was kind of his role in college. So maybe he'll shoot a bit more. I don't know why you'd get props on Micah Potter. Truth is, I forgot I didn't even know he was in the league. But yeah, I'm not gonna take any Micah Potter props. So sorry. You're a wizard, Harry. No, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna pass and not back any of the Potter siblings.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much hit them all on the head. Dunn and Abaji would be the only places I would look. What about you, Munaf? You see anything? I don't really
You
see
think
I
anything.
see
Samanich
Chris.
actually
I do
plays
see
like?
Chris Dunn props.
Do you think Samanich plays like 25, 30 minutes in this game?
I mean, he's gonna have to play.
I guess. I mean, I don't really know much about him. I didn't watch him much on San Antonio when he came into the league. As far as I know, he wasn't great because he didn't play, and he's a bench warmer on a tanking team or a team that had no expectations going to the year. But
He
once
started last
again,
game.
you're going for the G League same game parlay flyer prop section. So taking any big man double that might play north of 25 minutes, probably worth something. I don't know how much. I made a flyer play on Keegan Murray double yesterday at 22-1, and he ended up playing like 30 minutes. It lost. It's not a bad play. You're looking for volume. If you think that Samanich might play a lot of minutes, then screw it. Maybe it's worth something. I don't know.
Yeah. Anything else for this game?
No, that's it for me.
No. All right.
Yes, there's one thing. This is the
ahead.
only game that has a single-digit point spread, so that tells you where we're going.
Yep. All right. Before we continue the conversation here, let me tell everyone about Sword Vitality. Self-care is cool. Self-care is manly. Be proud of taking care of yourself. 40% of men are affected by impotence at the age of 40, and nearly 70% of men are affected by the age of 70. Stop buying those highly suspect pills in the gas stations. No more hiding that little blue pill in your sock drawer when your little lady friend or partner comes over. You manscape, but do you also take care of the plumbing? Sword Vitality helps increase your blood flow in ways that help you thrive as a man. It's time to become a Sword Vitality man. If you aren't experiencing erections in the morning, talking about Sword Vitality should be as comfortable as anything else men talk to about their partners. I hike, I watch football, I use Sword Vitality. There's really three main benefits by using Sword Vitality: increased blood flow in ways that can help you thrive as a man in the bedroom. Sword Vitality can also help increase your stamina. You don't have to hide it. You can be proud of it. Unsheath your sword. Visit swordvitality.com and use promo code SGPN for a nice discount at checkout. That's swordvitality.com, promo code SGPN. And we're also brought to you by the Golf Gambling Podcast and their tailor-made driver contest. The contest is completely free to enter. You have a chance to win an awesome tailor-made driver. The drawing will take place on Sunday, April 8th, so make sure you get in by going to sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. That's sportsgamblingpodcast.com/driver. All right, boys, let's get into the next game of the afternoon. These are all going to be early starts here today. So we have the Minnesota Timberwolves laying 14 points in San Antonio here tonight to take on the Spurs. Currently seeing, like I mentioned, minus 14 for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Total is sitting at 233. Looking at the injury report for both of these teams, for the Minnesota Timberwolves, Jalen Noel is questionable. Austin Rivers is questionable. And Karl Anthony Towns, I did see a note that
Chris Finch was questionable last night, but I'm not sure if he's
said that he's expecting him to play in both of the back-to-backs this weekend. So maybe a minutes restriction. I don't think that. I mean, they do have a chance to climb up a little bit, but I think they will be playing the starters for the Minnesota Timberwolves. For the San Antonio Spurs, we have Devin Vassell out, Jeremy Sohan out, Doug McBucket's out, Devontae Graham out, Kim Birch out, and Charles Bassey out. Questionable tags on Keldon Johnson and Romeo Langford. So I'm thinking it's pretty much going to be the same lineup that they had against the Portland Trailblazers the other night, which was Trey Jones, Malachi Branham, Zach Collins, Bates Diop, and we'll see if Keldon Johnson plays here tonight. All right, so minus 14. Who is brave enough to lay it with the Minnesota Timberwolves here, Delonte?
I am. Yeah, man. I'm going to lay it with them. Yeah, I'll lay it with them. I think they're going to come out. Like you said, I think they might play their starters in the half, so maybe splitting it. I'll probably put a full unit on the first quarter, first half, and then like a half unit on the full game. I don't think the Spurs, I mean, you read out the injuries. The Spurs, they haven't been as competitive as they were like maybe even a week ago. So I mean, Timberwolves are probably gonna play Cat. I mean, he hasn't played, but like how many? I don't even think he's played 20 games, right? No,
something in that neighborhood. It hasn't
yeah.
been a
So
lot.
yeah, they want to at least keep him, fresh and not, having to come back and for a one and done situation and he be rusty. So I think they're going to give him
Cat has
some
played
minutes.
27 games.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah. So I think they're going to give him some minutes. The only guy that we know for sure that was going to be out was Naz Reid, obviously because of the wrist. But yeah, man, I think Minnesota comes out. I think they win by double digit. Well, I think they win by 20 here. Spurs uninterested. Rated it 1-2-3 Cancun. I don't think Popovich even stands up anymore. I think he just sits down and coaches. He doesn't even stand up. Doesn't bother. So give me the Timberwolves.
To be fair, that's how Coach K coached for his last 3 years at Duke. So
yeah, that's true. Yeah, but yeah, give me the Timberwolves trifecta: first quarter, first half, and a full game.
Scott, what do you got?
So based on the motivation edge, you'd probably lean Minnesota. The problem is, can I lay 14 with a Minnesota team that lost outright as 19.5-point favorites to Portland? I don't know if I can. Minnesota's a team that I've been right on occasion. So they're not the Raptors. I'm 0 for my last 30 picks on the Raptors. At least I've gotten the Timberwolves right on occasion. But I don't know if I could trust this team enough. I'm just trying to keep tabs on how this team's been performing in must-win games recently, and they beat the Nets, but that game was competitive. The Nets are a decent team, though. Shout out to them for clinching a playoff spot. But still, I think the Spurs are bad, but they have won 2 of 3, so they've actually been winning some games on occasion. They're not. I mean, they beat Sacramento, and Sacramento was actually using some guys, and they still won that game. And they beat Portland in the Tankathon, so they won that game. That doesn't mean anything, but still. I think when it comes to these double-digit spreads, what I have noticed, maybe it's just selective recall, it feels like you can get a lot better lines in-game. I've seen a lot of these tanking teams hang around for a quarter, maybe even a half in the Suns-Lakers case yesterday, or even the Bulls case yesterday against the Mavericks, where the Mavericks were up 13 at half. It seems like a lot of these teams can hang around for a little while, and then they get buried in the second half. I think I'd rather take a live play on Minnesota because I do think at some point this line will be shorter than 14 and you could jump it, but I don't exactly expect Minnesota to jump on their throats in the first quarter. I think San Antonio can hang around for maybe 12 minutes. Maybe the line drops to 10 in play, maybe 9.5, and then you jump it at 9.5. But I see a tale of two halves here. I think the Spurs are going to hang around, keep it close for a half, and I think Minnesota might come back and bury him in the second half. So maybe if you're looking for a sneaky prop, Spurs first half, Timberwolves full game. Maybe.
It's not a bad look. The way you broke it down.
Probably look at Spurs first quarter, like you mentioned, and then I think eventually second half, like exactly what Scott said. Just Minnesota.
Have you noticed that too,
away.
or is that just me?
Yeah, I've noticed that as well. I mean, I think it's typical for tanking teams, right? Maybe even going into the fourth quarter. If it's a close game, expect the Minnesota Timberwolves to pull away. But offensively, man, they haven't been very good.
No, but that's the problem. They don't score.
Yeah, that's what scares me here. I wanted to look at their team totals, but they only put up 105 against a Portland Trailblazers team that really had their G League squad out there. And then against the Brooklyn Nets, they put up 107. So I don't know if it's going back.
That was a rock fight, that game.
It was.
So I don't know if it's going back too early in the season where we saw when Kat and Rudy Gobert were on the floor together at the same time that their offensive efficiency was just absolutely atrocious. So, I mean, you're going up against a San Antonio team that they can still fill up the bucket. We saw the shootout that they got into with the Blazers. Obviously, a team that doesn't play any defense. So it'll be a little different here going up against Rudy Gobert and you know, those type of players. But I would look at Spurs early and then eventually, like Scott said, the Minnesota Timberwolves pulling away. I mean, you probably want, if you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, you probably just want to come out here and take care of this in 3 quarters and have your guys sit for the rest of the game, thinking that you have to play against. I think they have the Pelicans tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see who they.
That's a big
tomorrow.
game.
Yeah, it is a big game.
That's a big game.
Can you argue it's a look at spot?
No,
they have to win out. But
yeah, I mean, you have to win. Yeah. So I think that, yeah, I mean,
So my thing is if they win here, obviously as 14-point favorite, and then they win against the Pelicans, they're the 8, right?
No, they need the Lakers to lose to Utah, who's punting everybody.
Yeah.
Because the Lakers are a game and a half ahead. Because the Lakers won yesterday.
Right. Okay.
So if the Lakers win one more time, and we read off Utah's starting lineup today, so the Lakers should win the finale.
Right.
You can argue that Minnesota is
so it's
not
pretty much
playing
set.
for much.
It's pretty much set.
That's the point.
Pretty much. It just depends on if the Pelicans are going to host the Lakers or if the Lakers are going to host the Pelicans. And I mean, there's also a possibility
purposes, they're kind of just stuck.
Yeah, and it's a possibility that the Clippers lose out and the Lakers move into the 6th spot.
I mean, we're saying possibility. They're favored by even more than Minnesota today. So we'll talk about the Clippers in a second.
Yeah.
Yes.
But, so total 233 right now. Scott, anything on that?
I have no idea. It's tough because Minnesota can't score at the moment, but San Antonio is playing no defense, and maybe you get a track meet. I'll lean over, I guess. I don't know. Maybe San Antonio team total over, and you're just hoping that you see Minnesota potentially stop caring. A lot of teams have something to play for in theory, but they don't control their own destiny, so they don't even bother. Is there a chance Minnesota just realizes the Lakers are going to beat Utah? Why are we even bothering?
That's a chance.
Just saying, like, I don't think they really are playing for much when you realize how bad Utah's team is for that finale. So I'm going to lean to San Antonio, I guess, plus the points, and I'll lean to the over. I'm just hoping that both teams kind of embrace the joke of the final week of the regular season, and you have another really hilarious over. I'll lean over with San Antonio and just hope for a crapshoot game. I see JR mentioning Champagny props. Big fan. Love the over in threes for Champagny. Guy's been getting buckets. Trey Jones double-double, given. And Minnesota might bench some guys. I want to make a case for Kyle Anderson double-double because he's now a bench player, so maybe he'll get more run. I'm not sure. But, yeah, I think I'm just expecting Minnesota to not care as much as people think, and I'll lean San Antonio because of it.
Delonte, total?
Yeah, I like the over. I think Timberwolves
Spurs. I mean, I'm not going to take an under with the Spurs.
I think the Timberwolves have success early on. So if they can get to 70, 75 in the first half, and at least get those guys playing a little bit of the third quarter. That's what I wanted to be competitive enough where they can play a little bit of the third quarter and boost the points up and then put the reserves in. So I think they'll be able to do that with the Spurs. I think they'll be able to score on the inside, dominate the interior, especially if Cat plays. I think Gobert should have a big game. So yeah, I like the over, and I'll probably just split half unit on Timberwolves team total over, half unit on the full game over.
Yeah, it's the Spurs. I mean, they can put the ball in the basket. I'll say that much. At 233, I think that I was looking for either Minnesota team total overs, whether that's first quarter, first half, or even full game. Right now, full game is at 123.5. First half totals at 119.5. So probably looking at Minnesota's team totals in this game. Player props, anything you guys are looking at, Scott?
Trey Jones double-double is always the safe answer to that question, or the assists over, because points are sometimes tricky with him, but he's still a good facilitator. I know he ended up having a double-double last game against Portland, but I'm trying to think of what else I really like, because once again, I don't know who San Antonio is going to use. We've seen Keldon Johnson play on occasion. Sometimes he doesn't, so I don't have much there. I'm not sure how much Minnesota is actually going to care about this game, as I kind of alluded to. I mentioned that I like Champagny threes, but I don't see a line on it yet.
No.
Are you just going to lean to Minnesota player unders in theory and just hope they get pulled after 2 or 3 quarters?
I would probably look at Cat unders.
Because he's questionable, so I would probably lean to the unders in general, because why would they want to force him when he's had injury issues all year long?
Yeah, and then Rudy Gobert unders.
The thing with Rudy Gobert is I think he can have like 7 or 8 rebounds, 4 or 5 putbacks in the first quarter.
Yeah, but every time I bet him to go over on his rebounds, I think I'm like one of like 19 this season betting on his rebound.
I'm pretty good.
I think I'm like 0 for 4, but I stopped after 4, so at least I learned something in the process. You just been firing away.
Yeah, I'll keep it going, man. Rudy Gobert been good to me, man, in certain in these spots. So I'm pretty good with his props.
Well, it's obviously a good spot, but once again, I feel like people are Minnesota to come out and bury him, but if they do what I'm trying to think of a good example is, let's say the Heat did yesterday, where they, in theory, can put pressure on the team they're competing with, but when you know the Nets are playing Orlando and Orlando just lost by 20 plus points to Robin Lopez and the Cavs, then the Heat realize, why are we even using anybody when it's not going to matter? And they lost to the Wizards yesterday, which I know Terrell and I liked.
Yeah,
But the point is, the game in theory mattered for Miami. It didn't, because the Nets ended up beating Orlando. We know the Lakers are going to probably beat Utah in the final game of the season. I really think people are giving Minnesota too much credit for a team in must-win territory, when in most scenarios, I say 90+% of the time, this game is not going to matter in hindsight.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. All right. Anything else for this game, guys?
Nope.
I'm happy it's not on TV.
No, nothing's on TV today. I'll say that much. All right, let's get over to the last game of the night. We have the Portland Trailblazers. They are in LA to take on the Clippers. 17 is the current number right now for the LA Clippers. Total is sitting at 230. Looking at the injury report for this game. For the Clippers, only 2 players that are officially out, obviously, Paul George and Marcus Morris Sr. Oh, boy. Portland Trailblazers.
I saw Shaedon Sharpe not on the injury report, though, so they got somebody.
Probable tonight. Well, you know what? I think it might
That
just
counts.
be better.
Just name who's playing.
Exactly. So this is a projected starting lineup for the Portland Trailblazers. Skylar May, Shaedon Sharpe, Trendon Watford, John Butler, and Drew Eubanks are the 5 starters here tonight for the Portland Trailblazers.
John Butler sounds like a 2K generated AI teammate when you're playing like a franchise mode after 2 years.
7 feet, 190 pounds. God, put some respect on him. He did have 12 points and 4 assists in the game against San Antonio. All right. Scott, lead us off. 17 points here for the Clippers.
I actually think the Clippers kicked the crap out of them, to be honest. Minnesota, I think, really does not have much to play for, as I've been saying several times over. The Clippers do. The Clippers have a lot to play for. So I think under no circumstance are they actually going to overlook the Blazers. I think they're actually going to come out and bury this team. I think the Clippers win this game by 30. I know it's not a full all-hands-on-deck situation because Paul George is still injured, but I really do think you can make an argument that the Clippers could maybe get up early by a lot. They'll pull everybody, and then Portland is able to come back. The problem is the Clippers have been fluctuating everybody's minutes on the roster for the entire season. So the former starters who started a couple of games might actually get decent run in this game, and they're good because I know that they're actually capable of starting on most other teams in the league. So you can argue that the Clippers bench rotation is better than the Portland starting rotation for this game. I'm going to go with the Clippers here. I know it's 17. It's a lot of points, and maybe they're going to bench some guys, but the Clippers are competing for a ton with regard to seeding. I think they bury Portland in this game. I think the Clippers win by 30, but I think it's mostly based on the fact that unlike Minnesota, they actually control their own destiny to some degree. Give me the Clippers in a rout. I think they win by 20 plus.
All right. Delonte, what do you got?
Yeah, I think it plays out. The Clippers come out, dominate, win by, well, not win, but they're covering the first half, first quarter, and then they relax a little bit. Obviously, we never know. Kawhi might come out and play, the first 5 minutes of the first quarter and be done for the night.
But isn't their bench unit actually not bad?
I was going to mention that. I was like, do you really need Kawhi to play here tonight?
You don't.
Because
you don't.
They're deep.
They're deep.
Yeah, I mean, you still have Westbrook, Eric Gordon, Batum, Zubac, but even guys coming off the bench, Norman Powell, Terrence Mann. Robert Covington. I mean,
Morris stinks, but as a bench player, it's a pretty solid bench option compared to others in the league.
Yeah, well, Morris is out tonight. He's out. He's not playing.
Well, that might be an upgrade, but I'm saying my point is that Morris was a starter. Now he's on the bench, but they've rotated the starting lineup so often that a lot of guys who might have to step up in a large amount of minutes because of some potential benchings at halftime if the game gets ugly, they're used to playing a bunch of minutes. So it's not like they're going to be overwhelmed by the situation.
So yeah, I think you just kind of look at Clippers here early.
Yep.
Come out here, take care of business early and often. Team totals are always in play as well, especially against this Blazers defense. So yeah, I mean, I think this might be the one game you're probably comfortable with laying that 17. But again, it is the NBA. We've seen funnier things happen. We've seen Portland win outright as a 17-point underdog. That number even close at 19.
19 and a half.
Yeah, I'll say this. I feel better about laying 17 with the Clippers than I do laying 14 with Minnesota. Maybe that's a hot take, but that's how I feel.
I don't think it's a hot take, but I feel the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Delonte?
Yeah, I'll just be on a bunch of player props. I'll be taking the Clippers in the first half. First quarter, first half. Like you said, I think the bench unit for the Clippers, they're just so deep that they're just going to have players on the court at all times, no matter if it's a blowout or not. So they're going to have the guys out there. I think the Blazers compete more so in the second half than they do the first half. I mean, Shaedon Sharpe being there is a lot of help because, I mean, he can score. I know somebody mentioned to Scott about the Skylar Mays double-double. You're going to be on that again.
I've been
tonight,
burned
Scott?
too many times, man. It's not even Mays' fault. Guy has 7 assists with like 6 minutes to go in the third quarter, and he never plays again. And he finishes with 7 assists. They just bench him the entire fourth quarter in a close game, by the way, for just no reason because he's too good to tank with. I don't know if I could handle Mays anymore. He's a good player, but they're just going to constantly bench him whenever he looks sharp. So I don't know if I can take it anymore. I like Bones Highland though. Highland's been crushing it.
Yeah. So give me the Clippers first quarter, first half, and I'll probably come back. Obviously, we don't know the line, but I'll come back with the Blazers in the second half. Probably bet them on the money line to just win the second half outright, thinking that the Clippers, get a little bit complacent, a little bit sloppy in the second half.
All right, totals at 230, guys. What do you like, Scott?
I think I got to lean over again with Portland's defense, but this one's also tricky. Once again, you're trying to predict what's going to happen when you might see a lot of guys who you don't remember are still in the league. At least the Clippers have a lot of guys who I know can actually score in the NBA because they've been having so many different starting lineups all year long. I guess I'll lean over and hope that the Clippers stop caring. Maybe Sharpe goes for 30 and they somehow end up scoring 110 points. I'm really just hoping the Clippers score 130. That's really how I look at it. I think I'd rather take the Clippers team total over. I'll lean over in this game and just hope that the Clippers offense does enough to send it over. But once again, it's another game where you're kind of praying if you're betting a total without officially knowing how many minutes everybody's going to play.
Delonte.
Yeah, I'll lean to the under, thinking that if the Clippers do score 130, I'm not sure the Blazers can score 100 or 101. But I think the Clippers defensively still, they're notches above what the Blazers can handle on the offensive end. So I like the under, maybe a Blazers team total under if you're into that. So I like the under in this game.
Yeah, I would probably just look at Clippers team totals in this game, first quarter, first half, full game. Just everything you guys said about how bad this defense is for the Portland Trail Blazers. And, we saw what they gave up to San Antonio in that game in their last couple games as well. So, yeah, I will look at it, dice it that way. Let's get to player props in this game, if anything. Delonte, you like anything?
Yeah, I like some of the lesser role guys, like you mentioned, Norman Powell. I like Russell Westbrook. I like their points over. PRA for Westbrook is let's see. PRA for Westbrook is 28 and a half.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you though, with Westbrook being a bench player, or at least the guy who doesn't play the fourth quarter in most situations, does he get a boost in minutes here, or is he a veteran so they're not even going to bother? Like, what category does he fall into?
That's a good point, but I think he's going to get a lot more minutes.
You think he will? Okay, that's what I'm saying, because you make an argument either way.
Yeah, I think he will late. I mean, it worked on his jumper.
Tomorrow. The Clippers.
They play tomorrow?
Yeah, they have a game today and then tomorrow because they have 2 games
Tomorrow's the
left.
final day of the season, right?
Yeah.
Usually it's on Sunday. So,
yeah, they got Phoenix tomorrow.
Oh,
Yeah.
JR was bringing up the power revenge game. I forgot he played for the Blazers.
Yeah, before he went over to Toronto.
Yeah, I forgot he played
Robert
for
Covington too. Yeah, throw those names.
Oh
in
yeah,
there.
yeah. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Covington
Anything
had a
else
40
for player
piece
props?
when that team was trying to tank last year to get worse seeding to get a better matchup. Covington had one of the most random 40 pieces we've seen in a while. So
Did he go
Covington-
like
maybe
7 of 7 recently from like 3-point land?
Yeah, he had a great game a couple of games ago, but still, I mean, if you, I doubt you're going to see props on him, but that's another example. Covington, I've seen him start for several years. He's a bench player on the Clippers. Like he could definitely give you good minutes.
Bro,
If
Covington, no matter what, he could come in and get a bucket and play
I like
defense.
Covington,
And
I
play
always
defense.
have, but
Yeah, man. Yeah, I like those calls. I would sprinkle on Westbrook triple double also. I mean, and
I gotta
Kawhi
see what the
unders
price is
like
on
we all
that.
discussed. That's the only thing that I like.
I see 14-1 on Westbrook triple double. I'm trying to see if I can find a better price, but I see 14-1 as a baseline.
Yeah, I
I
mean,
see it on DraftKings. Scott, player props.
So the fact that they play tomorrow, I want to just pull up the Western Conference standings really quickly once again, because do the Clippers need to win both games?
I think so, because right now they're sitting that 6th spot with the Lakers just half a game behind them.
That's what I thought. But just to read
And
off
Pelicans
the
half a game
standings,
behind.
they're currently half a game behind the Warriors, and I believe the Warriors win the head-to-head, correct?
That's a good question. Let me look that
I
up.
think they split if I'm not mistaken.
Did they split?
I think so. I'm not 100% sure.
Because I remember they choked away. I think Golden State's up on them.
It's
but I'm
actually
not
split.
totally.
Yeah, it's 2-2.
It is split. Okay.
Yeah.
I forgot what the tiebreaker is. I'm going to be fully honest.
I think it's conference. I think it's conference win percentage.
That's what I figured. I don't.
I'm thinking. I don't know. I'm just guessing.
I don't have that in front of me, so I don't know who has the tiebreaker there. They are half a game up on the Lakers, but they have the tiebreaker. So if they win this game, then they're officially ahead of the Lakers, and the last game doesn't matter. So it all comes down to the tiebreaker, though, against the Warriors, doesn't it?
Yeah, so if it's tiebreaker, Warriors have the better conference record.
Yeah.
Okay, so this game might mean so tomorrow's game might mean nothing. That's what you're telling me.
Correct.
Okay. Well, that does throw a wrench into everything, because I would have loved a same-game parlay on Kawhi unders if tomorrow's game actually mattered, but it's not going to.
Yeah.
That kind of sucks.
I still might do it.
Yeah, it makes sense. I assumed it was conference record, but I didn't exactly know for certain. Shaden Sharp overs.
Yeah, he's at 21 and a half.
He's one of the most blowout-proof players in the league because he's been playing 40-plus minutes when they're down 40 in some of these games, and he's been resting here or there, so this will be maybe his last hurrah to let him get some big stat lines. The volume's going to be there. He's going to shoot the ball a ton. What do you say the prop was, 21 and a half?
For his points, yeah.
So I want to pull up the shot attempts.
Oh, yeah,
man. For reference.
26, 25, 30.
Sharp. Yeah, I want to read this off.
Unreal.
So Sharp's last couple of games, these are attempts. 18, 19, 20, 27. He played 45 minutes. They lost by 40 to Sacramento in that game. 13 shots, 20 shots, 19 shots. I'm on the over 21 and a half. He's going to shoot the ball too much for me to take an under with. He can once again shoot maybe even 7 for 20. And if he goes to the line a decent amount and hits a couple threes, he still finds a way to go over. Give me the over on Sharp. He might play north of 40 minutes in this game.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue against that. He's had 22 or more points in 3 of the last 4 games that he's played. The only game that he did fall short was that last game against Memphis, where he went 8 of 19 and scored 20 points. He's also not bad at rebounding and dishing out the basketball as well.
Definitely.
He's had at least 5 assists in 4 straight games, 6 or more assists in 3 of the last 4 games. The rebounds have been there as well for him. So if you want to take PRA as well.
By the way, I found Westbrook triple-double at 26-1.
What book?
Shopping around. Just going to throw that out there.
Which book, Scott?
Oh, that was FanDuel.
Oh, okay. And he's also getting up to 3-point attempts as well. I mean, he has had 8, 7, 10, 13 over the last 4 games. So, yeah, I do like that look for Shaden Sharp here today as well.
I found Sharp double-double at 13-1.
Okay. All right.
Once again, is it likely? No. But if he's going to play north of 40 minutes, it's worth a flyer.
Yeah, opportunity is going to be there for sure.
I was looking at Zubac rebounds here. I think that
I thought about that too.
Yeah, maybe ladder that up to a 13 or so. If it is a blowout by the end of 3 quarters, obviously you're not going to see a lot of the starters play, so you probably have to get it done in 3 quarters, which again definitely is a huge possibility because again, we took Zach Collins on when was it, Delonte? Thursday?
Yeah, Thursday. Yep.
Yeah, that one got
I see Zubac 11 rebounds at plus 105. 10 plus rebounds is minus 155.
Yeah,
on DraftKings. So
double is plus 105 as well. So if you want to look at that for Zubac, but yeah, that's all I had. Maybe Norman Powell threes is worth a look. I mean, that is pretty much it. Bones Highland, if this is a blowout, he's probably going to play that entire 4th quarter. You know, he's going to jack up his shots.
They do have Highland props.
Yeah, I see Bones Highland props. The one that intrigues me is his 3-pointers at over 2.5 at plus 155.
He's going to chuck it. I mean, you know he's going to chuck it. I maybe wouldn't mind an alt line if you think he's going to play 30-plus minutes. He might, after the heat check 4th quarter he had against the Lakers, he might be chucking up like 8 threes in this game.
Yeah. So those were the kind of player props I would target. You guys have anything else?
Nope.
No. Is it a Terrence Mann game? Maybe.
Yeah, I like Terrence Mann. I like Terrence Mann too.
What's his points prop?
Mann's points I see at 8.5. I got to be on an over there.
Yeah, I think he is also blowout proof, right?
Yes.
I think he's blowout encouraged, actually, because he doesn't play enough for some reason. Ty Lue just doesn't use him enough. I think he's actually a very good player.
Yeah, 100%. All right, guys, let's get into our lock and dog for this Saturday schedule. I will let you lead it off, Delonte.
All right, so for the lock, I'm going with, let me get an updated number really quick. I'm going with Minnesota 1st quarter -4. I'll take that as the lock. As the dog, I'm going with a player prop parlay. I'm going with where we at? Malachi Branham over 14.5 points and Shaden Sharp over 21.5 points. That pays out plus 240. Shop around, I mean, different prices, but around between 220 and 240 is what it pays out at. So that's what I like for my dog.
All right. And your lock was
Minnesota -4 1st quarter.
Okay. All right. Perfect. Scott, what do you got?
All right. So there's a lot of fun stuff to choose from. I'm like half joking. So starting off with my lock for the show, I'm a big believer in not trying to fix what isn't broken. So for that reason, I am going to give out a play on a team that has actually been very, very good lately. And they've been winning by a decent amount lately. So for my lock, I'm going to take the Tampa Bay Rays -1.5 runs against the Oakland Athletics. They're undefeated. They're 7-0. They've won every game by about 3 or 4 plus runs. Give me the Tampa Bay Rays -1.5 at home against the Athletics. The Athletics have Fujinami on the mound, who has an ERA of 30. He struck out Mike Trout, and then that was the highlight of his career, and he'll probably get demoted sometime soon. So, yeah, my lock for the show is going to be the Rays -1.5 runs.
And your dog?
My dog is going to be in hockey. I'm going to take the Florida Panthers -1.5 goals at plus 150 against the Capitals. Capitals have lost 8 of 9. They've lost 5 straight. Panthers are fighting for a playoff spot. They've won 5 straight as well. I think the Panthers kill this team. They've won each of the first 2 meetings by 3 goals exactly. Give me the Panthers -1.5 goals at plus 155. But if you actually want basketball props, I guess I'll talk Shaden Sharp over as my lock for points at 21.5. I do think that line's too low for a guy that should play 40 minutes. So give me Sharp over for the points. And as for my dog, I'm trying to think if I could find an alt line because I would just take Terrence Mann 10 plus points if that line's available somewhere. I don't know if you see that available. Do you see that as an option?
Let me see. Terrence Mann. Alt points.
Because 8.5 was like -110 on one book, so it should be like even money at another book. But
FanDuel is usually really good about
they
posting these early.
Yeah, they are.
instead of
FanDuel is probably the best at
DraftKings.
I see
posting
plus
player props.
135 on man, 10 plus points at FanDuel. I'm going to take that. So once again, my double lock is going to be Shaden Sharp over 21.5 points and Rays -1.5. And for my dogs, I'm going to take Terrence Mann, 10 plus points at 135, and Florida Panthers -1.5 goals at around plus 150.
Okay.
They're asking for a bonus tennis pick, Scott. What you got?
Unfortunately, my tennis podcast that I had, I already ended up, both matches basically started already, and I already hit my dog that was plus 140. So, sorry, but the matches I actually like today already started. So
Terrible.
happens. It's a problem when you're playing in Europe. All the matches start at like 9 a.m.
That's true. All right. For my lock, I am going to take the
Rays.
I mean, that's an auto bet for me right now. I'm
until they don't cover a run line, I'll keep betting the run line.
I'm trying to keep that on the hush hush and just collect my money. For my lock, I am going to take the Clippers first half money line -635. I think that no, I'm just kidding. Let's see, man. Golly, I'm just gonna lay the points with the Clippers, man. I'll give it out. You got to grab your ball sometimes. Clippers -17. You know what? Actually, give me the Clippers team total over. I'll go that way. Clippers team total over 123, 122.5 right now over on DraftKings. I mean, we even talked about without even Kawhi, if he decided not to play tonight, this team could still put up the points against this defense, against this Portland defense. I think we'll see a lot of back and forth in this game, but I think Clippers, I would not be shocked if they get up 130 points in this game. For my dog, I will go with a Zubac double plus 125.
Not bad.
He's had 2 in both games against the Blazers this season, which feels like he's going to have to get it done in 3 quarters, which I have faith that he can have at least 7 to 8 rebounds by half. It's just the points are always a concern with him. Again, talking about putbacks and stuff. Obviously, they don't run the offense through a guy like Zubac, but the opportunities for him to get offensive rebounds and put him back up. Like I mentioned, he's had 2 double-doubles this season against the Blazers, 12 and 13, and then 14 and 10. So that plus 125. I think that's a good play there here tonight, especially with no big bodies for the Blazers, except for Drew Eubanks. But he should have success on the boards. If you want to pivot to just his rebounds for Zubac, I think I saw 13 plus at plus $2, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check that before we shut it down here. Alt rebound, Zubac. Yeah, 13 plus is at plus 280. If you want to go 15 plus that, plus 650. But I'll give out double plus 125 for Zubac here tonight or this afternoon against the Portland Trail Blazers. All right, guys, that is going to do it for our final episode for the Saturday regular season games. I wish Delonte and Terrell good luck tomorrow, handicapping those games.
With Terrell, it's always going to be a show, man.
Oh yeah, that's for sure.
All I gotta do is show up.
Just to ask though, how many games tomorrow actually matter?
I think it's only going to be like 3.
Which I go under that. I go like 2.
So I'm trying to think of which games are even going to matter because OKC already clinched a play-in spot. The Lakers have to try. The Clippers don't. Golden State has to try against Portland. So you got
Pelicans and Minnesota.
Minnesota, we just said, might not have to play for anything though because we think the Clippers are going to win tonight. So Minnesota's not playing for anything.
They got the Minnesota line already up. It's competitive, 3.5.
Yeah, because I think
because New Orleans. Yeah, okay. I mean,
it'll be for who hosts a home game.
Yeah, okay. So that actually does matter for both sides. It's a rare game where both teams actually care.
Yeah, and then Lakers, like you mentioned, and then the other game
Memphis, OKC doesn't matter.
I got to keep an eye if there's any teams that can potentially fall down in or increase their ping pong probability, and maybe I'll fade that team. But yeah, there's not much for tomorrow's card for teams that care.
Yeah. So I'll leave it to Delonte and Terrell if they just want to at the top discuss the meaningful games and then kind of go
I'm
through
not
the
good
rest
with
of
that.
the
I'm not good with that shit.
We'll talk about it offline. All right, that's gonna do it, guys. Scott, anything else, my man, before we get out of here?
No, hopefully my baseball and basketball picks win. Or baseball, basketball, and hockey picks win. But besides that, though, I'll be watching none of these games. Full disclosure. You got Adesanya Pereira 2. Of course, I'm going to be watching that. So I'll be watching UFC tonight. And there's also 16 games. I believe it's the first time ever there's been 16 games on the NHL schedule. And my Islanders are playing. Go Islanders. Hopefully they beat Florida. Hopefully they beat the Flyers, I mean. Crazy playoff race there. So I'll be watching hockey and UFC the entire day. Maybe a little bit of Masters coverage somewhere in there. Yep. But NBA not going to make it on a TV today.
Yeah, unfortunately not. Not today's not the day for the NBA, but we're still here for you guys because we are the greatest NBA pod out there. So yeah, enjoy the Masters, UFC, hockey, baseball, like Scott mentioned. Delonte, anything else, my man?
Not much, man. Hey, I'm done with the Masters. I cashed my Tiger ticket to make the cut. I'm done with it.
Yep, there you go.
What price you get on that? Like 150, maybe?
I think it was 185 to be honest.
Okay.
Rogue number.
Follow Delonte on Twitter at XXLonteXX. Follow Scott on Twitter at Reichel Radio. Follow me on Twitter at SportsNerd824. Hey, the 30 of you watching, smash that like button for us before you get out here. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. We are closing in on 1,000 subscribers for the NBA Gambling Podcast YouTube channel. So again, if you haven't already subscribed, do so. We are going to be on our A game starting next week with the play-in tournament games and the playoffs. And then again, make sure to follow the NBA Gambling Podcast Twitter account at SGPN NBA. All right, that's going to do it. Good luck with your bets here tonight. Bet responsibly in the NBA. My advice would be save your money.
Please.
Wait till next week where there's meaningful games.
Or player props. Either or.
Yeah, or player props. Till then, good luck with your bets here tonight. Let's break these books off and let it ride.